Okay, so this one's a little bit different. It's simply make your own decisions. I noticed this years ago when it became very frustrating, where a lot of people don't like making decisions, and a lot of people are programmed that way. Let's be honest, school doesn't let you make a decision. It doesn't want you to make a decision. It wants you to think about their answer, not about you coming up with another answer to the question. So what do I mean? Well, if you look at a hospital in the UK, they have chief executives, and then they have consultants and advisors that make all the decisions. So why am I paying for a chief exec out of my tax money? I have no idea, but it's a little boys' club there. But that is a prime example, and you'll get that in a lot of organisations, especially government ones. You look at prime ministers or whatever; they're all sitting there with their advisors, not the cabinet, not the people that should be actually advising people, because if they're not fit for purpose, why are we paying for them? But ultimately, this is the way society has been set up. And when I look at the media, and the recent Brexit vote was an interesting one because you got all the flag wavers, great, Boris is this, Boris is that. Yet the reality is, as I've mentioned before, you look Boris or Corbyn, well, I don't want either. Which is the worst of the two evils? What you've already got, or somebody that is beyond socialism? Quite simply, there was no way Corbyn was going to get in. It would absolutely no chance. So it wasn't a case of winning. It was a case of, I don't know, coming up, entering a race where everyone else has got a broken leg, and you're the only person with two legs, and surprise, surprise, you win. Trying to keep it very non-political, but the whole point is you got bad or worse, not good or better, and ultimately that's what people go. Yeah, look, we got what we want. It's like you don't even know what you got. If it was like make a decision, the decision for me would be, I want a vote for none of the above. I want them removed. I want a clean slate. Let's start getting people actually capable of doing the job. Let's get rid of all these career politicians that are blatantly corrupt, useless, incompetent, and start to replace them with people that have some value and can actually deliver something of value. But guess what? You won't get that because it doesn't fit in those boxes. There's no boxes. I mean, as a friend of mine was telling me, a no vote is a vote for the person who's going to win. Well, I don't think that's right. I think that's utter nonsense. And the fact is, it shows you how corrupt and broken the system is. Because all they're saying is, if you don't vote, then it's a vote for the person who wins. You can't complain. Yet at the same time, your no vote is probably the most powerful vote, and they've removed it from the ballot box, which should have been, I vote to remove all of the above, the vote of no confidence. Now, I know it sounds a bit political on that, but the point is, that's a very core root problem in many things. You know, you look at the problems. I mean, we were having a party last night. Well, sorry, I was at Denise's party last night, and it came up about some of the issues around the gender issues. And should somebody have the right to come into school and preach their version of life? My personal view is the answer is no, because the view for me on schools is they should be non-political. End of. Don't care of anybody's rights or anything else. That's political. It's about the environment of education. Now, don't get me wrong, I am fully aware that the education system is heavily biased and they create well-rounded people, which is why we seem to have a very splintered environment for the last decade. A lot of people complain about millennials and the way they think. Well, guess what? That's well-rounded people. The problem you've got is it simply doesn't function. It doesn't teach people that the world is about being better than everybody else. You want to get on in life, you push ahead. You don't go, everybody gets a gold star. You go into a work environment, your boss will steal something you've written or done and said it was their achievement, even if they go, my team, in other words, they mean themselves. That is life. But ultimately, the only person they care about is themselves. And that's one of the things I will say about a lot of millennials. That's one thing they certainly care about. Certainly, what do you call it? Certainly use or don't really understand is their only concern is themselves. Really is. Really is. You don't have to see the way the media is on how people go on about rights for this, rights for that, blah, blah, blah. They don't take into account everybody else. It's purely themselves. And they state it as if it's everybody, when in fact it's a minority making those things. And that's where we've got these well-rounded people having a voice that basically tells everyone else to shut up because their opinion matters and nobody else's does. That's very dangerous, because what you normally get in societies is if it goes one way, it will correct the other, but it never goes there, it goes all the way over. And this is why a lot of people didn't like Trump, Duterte out of the Philippines, because it's going that way. And at the same time, I was reading an article yesterday with this feminist writer who complained about living in the UK and how it's far right. I wouldn't say it's far right at all. I would say it's sort of not really understanding its politics at the moment, because you're getting people talk about immigration being an issue, yet the immigration they are dissecting away from isn't really a problem for the UK. I would say that getting illegal immigration is a problem, which is predominantly outside the EU anyway, and that's ignored. I would say the homelessness in the UK is a major problem. That's ignored. I would say the economy is in a poor state. That's ignored. A lot of this is just blame the EU for everything. Yet the easiest option here is blame the EU and not actually look at, we have some serious economic problems. They were talking about austerity. I heard somebody saying, oh, the Conservatives have kept us in austerity, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? You don't pay your credit card bill this month. You don't have a takeaway next month because you've got to pay your credit card bill. That's it. That's austerity. The UK has been spending money like no tomorrow, and they are corrective measures. And this is where you've got a problem. In the UK, you're currently seeing you're for or against. The common sense sits in the middle. And it's the same in many things, that they're removing the common sense out the middle, because if it does that, it's easier to deal with. Because if you're pro-Boris, you're anti-socialism. If you're pro-socialism, you're anti-conservatives. So the point being is, that's easy to deal with. But if everybody actually stopped and said, this is a load of crap. None of this is actually fixing anything. This is just the blame game. So one of the things I will say is think for yourself. If you don't think the politics is really going to change and going to improve, why rope yourself into it? Why waste your time on it? Why waste the effort on it? And I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, because I was talking about being content in life, and he says, well, because he doesn't like gay people. And I said, but they're not bothering you. You're bothering them. You don't even know, unless somebody said they were gay to you or whatever. What's your concern? Nothing. But you'll get people focus on that, and they make their lives about that. And the problem you get with that is they'll never be content. They'll always be grumpy. They'll always have something to complain about, because that's what they're focusing on, the negativity. My personal view on it is you can't change it, get rid of it. Doesn't matter. The politics will still go on. They'll still be arguing with each other. Unless you can persuade a few million people to actually change the way they think, you're wasting your time. And you will get people say, well, you should be engaged in politics, you should do this. Do you know what? The system's set up to be biased. Unless you're planning and overthrowing the bloody thing, you're not going to do anything that's actually going to be positive. Which gets me on to the MGTOW stuff. Now, the MGTOW stuff, fully understand. Been there, understand it completely, dealt with trying to deal with access and things before, and it's very, you're basically ripped off as a human being. Everything's taken away from you, and at the same time, you're not really allowed to talk about it too much, because often it's a very, very delicate thing in the sense of because your ex-partner holds all the cards, you can't say that your ex-partner's denying you rights to the children, because guess what? They deny you even more rights. They're very, very good at that, and the system's very, very good at protecting them, and they're very selective on their memories, etc. So for me, I fully understand MGTOW. And I talk about marriage because there is good women still out there, but I would say I wouldn't marry a Western woman, ever. I was in 2 long-term relationships before I got married. And guess what? I knew my wife was right for me the moment I met her. Bear in mind, I'd already spent 18 years with other women and no intention of getting married. That says a lot. Because obviously my wife's from Asia, but Western women just don't. It's not that they don't cut it, it's just not worth the hassle. And don't get me wrong, there are good women out there, but I would say the odds are against you to start with. I mean, it's only recently that the divorce rate has been dropping. And one of the major factors in that is quite simply less people are getting married. Does not say it all. The best decision is not to get married, because your chances of not needing a divorce increase because you're not married. And more people are not getting married. So they can actually separate and go their own way, because the level of commitment isn't there a lot of the time. But all this comes down to making your own decisions. Don't get boxed in by other people. Don't get boxed in with saying, well, you've been together now a while, you should get married. No, it's none of your business. None of your business. If I'm happy and she's happy, who cares? In the same way, you'll get people push you into a career you don't want to do. Eventually, you're going to want to come out of that career. Now, one of the things I would say about that is if you're planning on doing something different, use your hobby time. Use your evenings and weekends to develop that so you can actually make the leap into whatever you want to do. Make your own decisions. And some of it's very manipulative, I'll be honest with you. You will actually find that you'll use time to your advantage and other things to get where you want to be. But you've got to focus on it, because a lot of people don't. They'll go, well, my dad was a butcher, so I'm going to be a butcher. Right. Pre-programmed robot mentality. At no point did it actually say, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be in a band. Well, guess what? You can be in the band in the evenings and stuff and still be a butcher. If you're any good, you can give up being a butcher. There, problem solved. But a lot of it is making your own decisions and getting into the habit of making your own decisions. Also, there's nothing wrong with controlling your own finances and stuff. I hear a lot of people say, oh, we have a joint account, and then you find out that the partner's got another account. Oh yeah, but that's just for me, that sort of stuff. Well, guess what? Don't have a joint account. If it doesn't function properly, have a bill account and then keep your money separate. No reason for somebody to know your pay slips or anything else. In the same way in a company, the people you work with. In a lot of companies, you're not allowed to tell them how much you earn. So why do you need to share that with a partner? Bills are paid and everything else. What you're accumulating in savings and stuff is your business. Now, I'm not going to say about offshore accounts and stuff. That's up to you to do that if you want to do it. But just prepare yourself for things going right or wrong. Progressively, you'll find that if you plan things ahead, like a 5-year, 10-year plan, you can work towards it. The goals will change, don't get me wrong. You may decide that you want to go camping or something, then your partner gets pregnant or something, and then that all goes out the window completely, but it moves from 5 years to a 10-year plan or a 15-year plan. But it doesn't mean take it off the board, it just means you have to shuffle the dates around. But you need to be more progressive on the way you're doing things, and also recognize when you're being manipulated. All that comes from the decision making. When people are telling you you must do this and must do that, stand back a bit and think about it. Do you? If not, just go, I hear what you're saying, and guess what? In your head, I'm completely ignoring it. Because sometimes it is like that. You will get people say you must do this and must do that, and you don't have to. I've had it in companies saying, well, you have to be at the office at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, no, I don't. And I've said it openly, no, I don't, because you have to stand your ground at that point. And they go, well, the client's going to be there at 7. I didn't arrange it. Yeah, but, and you're putting it on them because they can't actually force you to do it. Because in my case, my contracts are 9 till 5. If they want me to come in at 7, it's going to cost them. Either I want more time off, I'll take half a day off somewhere, or something else. But don't give stuff away for free all the time. I did a video previously about charging for your time. That's a prime example. You're giving away your life for nothing. But it's the same when people ask me, can I review spreadsheets for them? Or can I have a look at their property? Because they want an assessment on it, what market value or what they should do with a repair or something. It's all chargeable, and most people are quite happy to pay for it. In fact, I'll be honest with you, one of my friends here, he actually tells me off for doing too much for free. And I'll be pretty honest with that guy. I mean, this is the other thing. I do want to stress that I have no problems with anybody what they in life. I mean, Gareth's gay, and I have no issue with it whatsoever. Same as there's a few people that are friends here. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, but it doesn't mean I can't engage with people that are prejudiced, racist, or whatever. Because part of that for me is trying to understand where their mentality comes from. Because that's just my thing, Because when you try and delve into the findings about it, it's like when people have these views around Brexit, you're going, okay, so your view is that you want rid of all foreigners in the UK, okay, but your healthcare is pretty poor, it's falling apart. You live in Spain, not the UK, and 26% at least of the staff within the NHS system are foreigners. And then the response is, we should train more doctors, we should train this, we should do. It's like, that option's never been taken off the table. People don't want to do it, they want the easy street. That's the reality. Nobody wants to do 4 years training as a nurse. Nobody wants to do 10 years training as a doctor. They want to do social media studies or something else. It's the same as a shortage in the sciences and mathematics and things like that, because they're hard work. That's the reality. That's why you're having to get people from outside of the UK. But it's just, I will train more people. Good luck with that. I mean, my personal view is it's already going the other way. You're getting less Filipino nurses going to the UK because they made the 5-year rule where they've got to get over a certain salary bracket, otherwise they can't settle in the UK. And then the answer is, in that case, they should leave anyway, just give them work permits. It doesn't work though, because there's other countries that will give them settlement status, and that's where they go first. And the problem is, when you start whittling it down like that, you're losing a lot of the prime people, because the prime people are looking at long-term investment in the job. If you're on a 5-year contract, 3-year contract, 1-year contract, you know what? I know myself, I'm mercenary. Do nothing for free, everything's chargeable, and I push it to the highest rates I can get away with. That's the reality. You can create an environment where you're going, I demand you to work for a year and I will pay you this, and then you can go back. Guess what? I come in, and that's exactly what I do. I don't give a damn about the company, don't give a damn about the job. I just get in there, make the money and leave, because the only goal is to take the cash. Is that really the right environment for a healthcare system? I'll leave that one open for other people to discuss. But the point is, that's the environment that's being created with that sort of mentality. Don't get me wrong, I'm not socialist at all. I just see when you're relying on certain types of people and they have skill sets that you need, and you need them for the long term, it's not going to get less, it's always going to be more. Going down that route doesn't make any sense. I can understand in an oil field because it's pure cash. It's cash coming out of the ground. You need specialist engineers, etc. They are there purely for money. They are not standing in the desert for their fun. They know what the game is. And they'll go where the oil is. Simple as that. A nurse is more likely to be looking to settle in that country, make a life there, pay their taxes, etc., etc. Different kettle of fish. Anyway, but that gets back to making decisions again. You know, because a lot of them are making decisions not to come to the UK. A lot of them are heading to Australia. A lot of them are heading to America. And as other markets develop, which they will do, they'll head elsewhere. But the UK just doesn't produce enough of the right people these days. Don't get me wrong, the education system's a complete mess, and we've already discussed that. But ultimately, you need to make your decisions where you want to be in life and just head for it. Like I said, you'll get things that will throw spanners in the works, change it, alter it, but you should always try and get back onto the same path as soon as you can. But one thing I will say is just recognise where things are wasting your time. Like I say, I engage with people around politics and stuff sometimes. For me, I don't make it a life. I do get people message me and say, "Did you watch the video I watched?" Like Peter does, and he knows full well I haven't, because I'm not interested. I'm more interested in the mentality around some of the decision making. I understand the media is heavily biased. That's why I don't really follow it as much as I used to, because it's distorted whichever way you look. Gets back to socialism or conservatives. The point is that, yet the ones in the middle don't get asked. It's the ones in the middle where you're going to get your most common sense answers, and they're predominantly the ones that may not even vote, because they see the system as what it is. It's a failure. I mean, that's what I find funny with people that were sort of flag waving how great we've got Boris now, all the get rid of the EU and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, right, you haven't even looked at what Boris is up to. You've just picked out the bits he's given you and completely ignored everything else. And that's why they do what they want. Ultimately, that is exactly it. That's why they do what they want, because they can. Because the majority of people don't even take an interest. And like I said, for me, it's simply recognising it and just stepping aside. Because I'm not going to run as a politician. I've got zero interest in that. And you'd have to change, not a person, but the entire system. You've got a two-party system, so you need about 300-400 people with the same mentality running for a new government to actually try and get anywhere near or putting a dent in it. That ain't going to happen. Not in my lifetime anyway. Unless a lot of people suddenly woke up and decided to change the way they think. But I'd rather just focus on family life, getting things going, and enjoying life. By the way, this is an apartment that we're managing for somebody else. I'm just down here at the moment, just emptying the fridge, because they've gone back today. So just coming down, just making sure everything's okay. Empty the fridge, lock up, make sure the electrics are off, window shutters down, all that sort of stuff. To be fair, I'd rather be doing 20 of these a week than working in the UK these days. I'm quite happy to just sit around, pottering around, and then just focusing on other bits and pieces I like doing. But I think that's it. You've got to set your priorities. You've got to recognise where you want to be in life. You've got to recognise your own decisions, because the school system doesn't teach you that. This is why I don't really get too bothered with people that are anti-marriage or pro-marriage, because guess what? Different people. They've had different experiences, different ways of life. The only ones I do find interesting are the ones that have negative attacks on myself simply because they don't like the topic I'm talking about, because it just makes it funny for me, because they've completely ignored everything that was actually said. I doubt they even watched the videos half the time. But it's just recognising that a lot of the time you are wasting your time with some people. you're better off focusing on what you can do and not what you can't. Setting up here a small property business, can do. Doing air conditioning reinstalls, can do. Save the world, not interested, not on my cards. But anyway, I'll leave that to you. A bit of a natter for a Christmas Eve, but have a great Christmas and see you all in, well, the other side. Thanks for watching.